Have you ever sat quietly in your favorite chair, maybe with a cup of coffee gone cold, and felt like the energy you used to have is slipping away like sand through your fingers? Maybe you've noticed your days feel a little emptier, or your steps aren't as sure as they once were. If you're over 60, these moments can hit hard, and it's easy to think, well, that's just what happens when you get older. But what if I told you that fading after 80 isn't just about age or luck? There are hidden everyday habits, things most people don't even think about that quietly steal your vitality. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 unexpected reasons why so many older adults struggle to live long and thrive past 80. These aren't the usual tips about cutting out sugar or jogging around the block. These are subtle, overlooked factors that can make or break how you feel in your later years. And the best part, once you know what they are, you can start making small, simple changes today to live not just longer, but fuller with more joy and purpose. So settle in, maybe grab a notebook, and let's dive into these 5 reasons together. Because if you want to feel alive and vibrant well into your 80s and beyond, this is the conversation you need to hear. Let's start with the first reason: letting go of small, meaningful routines. Think about the little things you do every day that give your life shape. Maybe it's brewing a pot of tea just the way you like it, feeding the squirrels in your backyard, or flipping through a photo album with your grandkids. These aren't just chores or habits. They're the threads that weave your days together, giving you a sense of purpose and rhythm. But as we get older, especially past 80, these routines often start to fade. Maybe your hands aren't as steady, so you stop baking those cookies you used to love. Maybe you move to a smaller place and leave behind the garden you tended for years, or maybe you just feel like it doesn't matter anymore. Who's going to care if you skip that morning walk? Here's why this is a big deal. Your mind and body crave consistency. Those small routines aren't just tasks. They're signals to your brain that you're still engaged, still part of the world still. You. I once met a man named Samuel, 82, who had a habit of writing one haiku every evening about something he'd seen that day, a bird on his windowsill, the way the clouds moved. It wasn't for anyone else. It was just for him. That simple act gave his evenings meaning, a moment to reflect and create. When Samuel's arthritis made writing painful, he stopped. He thought it was no big deal, but soon his family noticed he was quieter, slept more, and seemed to lose his spark. It wasn't just the arthritis, it was the loss of that tiny routine that had kept him anchored. Research shows that daily rituals, even small ones, can lower stress, sharpen memory, and even strengthen your immune system. Without them, your brain starts to feel like a ship without a rudder, and your body picks up on that drift. Stress hormones rise, sleep gets disrupted, and you might even notice you're not as hungry as you used to be. The good news: you can rebuild this rhythm, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Pick one small routine you can do every day, even if it's just watering a plant or calling a friend to share a quick story. It doesn't need to be grand, it just needs to matter to you. I've seen people in their 80s light up their days by starting something as simple as keeping a gratitude journal, jotting down one thing each night that made them smile. That small act gave them something to look forward to, a reason to stay engaged. So if your days have started to feel blurry, ask yourself, what's one little routine I can start or bring back today? Because those moments of purpose are like oxygen for your soul. They keep you alive in ways that go far beyond the years on a calendar. Now let's talk about the second reason: pulling back from gentle, everyday movement. I'm not saying you need to sign up for a yoga class or start power walking around the park. But one of the sneakiest traps for older adults is moving less and less often because of fear or discomfort. Maybe you stumbled on a step once, so you avoid walking as much, or maybe your joints ache, so you spend more time in your armchair. It's understandable you're trying to protect yourself. But here's the problem. When you stop moving, your body doesn't just pause. It starts to lose its strength, its flexibility, its balance. Over time, this creates a cycle where moving feels harder, so you do it even less, and that's when your vitality starts to fade. Your body is like a tree in a forest. It needs to sway in the breeze to stay strong. When it stands still too long, it gets brittle. Movement, even gentle movement, keeps your blood flowing, your muscles engaged, and your mood lifted. I knew a woman named Edith, 80, who used to love dancing to old records in her living room every Sunday. After a scare with a twisted ankle, she stopped. Her family told her to be careful, and soon Edith was spending most of her days sitting. Within a year, she struggled to stand up from her couch, not because of the ankle, but because her muscles had weakened from sitting too long. Studies show that even 10 minutes of light movement, a day walking, stretching, or swaying can preserve muscle mass, boost circulation, and cut the risk of falls by improving balance. Here's how to start. You don't need to push yourself hard. Just move in ways that feel safe and joyful. Try standing up every hour to stretch, even if it's just reaching for the sky. Walk to your front door and back a few times instead of staying inside. Or put on a favorite song and sway in your kitchen. Yes, that counts as movement. If you're worried about falling, hold on to a sturdy chair or ask a loved one to walk with you. The goal is to make movement a natural part of your day, not a burden. I've seen folks in their 90s stay nimble just by doing seated stretches while chatting with a friend. So if you've been sitting more than you'd like, think about one small way you can move today. Every step you take tells your body we're still here and we're still growing strong. If you're finding this helpful, drop a 2 in the comments to let me know you're with me. And stick around because we've got 3 more reasons coming up that could change how you think about aging. Let's keep this conversation going. So you're still with me, and I'm glad because we're about to dig into 2 more reasons why so many older adults struggle to thrive past 80, and these are the kind that sneak up on you. If you've ever felt like your days are missing a certain spark, or wondered why you're not bouncing back the way you used to, these next points might hit home. Let's keep this conversation going and uncover what's quietly holding you back. And more importantly, what you can do about it today to feel more alive, more connected, and more like yourself. Let's start with the third reason, losing touch with casual, everyday connections. You might not think much about the quick chats you have with the barista at your local coffee shop, the wave you give to the neighbor mowing their lawn, or the small talk with the librarian when you pick up a new book. These moments seem so small, almost forgettable, but they're like the seasoning in a good meal. They add flavor and warmth to your life. Experts call these micro interactions, and they do more than just pass the time. They remind you that you're part of a community, that you're seen, that you matter. But as we age, especially past 80, these interactions often fade. Maybe you don't drive anymore, so you skip the coffee shop. Maybe your hearing isn't as sharp, so you avoid chatting with strangers. Or maybe you just feel like staying home is easier than stepping out into the world. Whatever the reason, when these little connections disappear, something deeper starts to shift. I remember a man named Frank, 84, who used to love stopping by the hardware store every Saturday, not because he needed nails or paint, but because he'd end up talking to the cashier about everything from baseball to the best way to fix a squeaky door. Those conversations lit him up. When Frank moved to a retirement community far from his old neighborhood, those trips stopped. He didn't realize how much those brief exchanges kept him grounded until they were gone. Within a few months, he started feeling lonely. Not the dramatic, aching kind, but a quiet emptiness that made his days feel flat. Science tells us why these micro interactions boost your mood by triggering feel-good chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin. They also keep your brain sharp by engaging the parts responsible for social processing. When they're gone, your stress levels can creep up, your immune system takes a hit, and you might even notice your memory isn't as crisp. But here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to be the life of the party to bring these connections back. It's about small, intentional moments. Try smiling at the person, bagging your groceries, or asking the mail carrier how their day's going. If getting out is tough, even a quick phone call to a neighbor can work wonders. I've seen folks in their 80s transform their mood just by joining a local book club or saying hello to the same dog walker every morning. One woman I know, Mabel, 87, started leaving little notes for her delivery drivers, simple things like, "Thanks for the speedy drop-off," and the replies she got gave her a reason to smile all day. So if you've been keeping to yourself more than you'd like, think about one tiny way you can connect with someone today. Those moments are like sparks. They might seem small, but they can light up your whole world. Now let's move to the fourth reason, ignoring the toll of unprocessed emotions. By the time you're in your 80s, you've likely faced more goodbyes than most people can imagine. Maybe a partner, a close friend, or even a sibling. Those losses don't just fade with time. They pile up heavy and quiet like stones in a backpack. What often happens is that you push those feelings down, Not because you want to, but because it feels like there's no place to put them. Maybe you tell yourself you should be over it by now, or maybe there's no one left who really gets what you're carrying. But here's the truth, your body doesn't let go of what your heart holds on to. Unprocessed emotions, grief, anger, even unspoken love. Don't just sit there. They settle into your muscles, your sleep, your energy. I knew a woman named Rose, 81, who lost her husband of 50 years. She didn't talk much about it, saying she was fine and didn't want to burden anyone. But over the next year, Rose started having trouble sleeping. Her appetite faded, and she felt a constant tightness in her chest. It wasn't a heart condition. It was her heart carrying a sorrow she hadn't let herself feel. Research shows that unprocessed grief can raise stress hormones, like cortisol, weaken your immune system, and even fog your memory. It's like your body is stuck in a low-grade fight-or-flight mode, and over time that wears you down. The saddest part, Rose didn't realize her health was slipping. Because of her silence, she thought it was just aging. The way forward is gentle but powerful. Give your emotions a voice, even a small one. You don't need to spill your heart to a stranger. Try writing a letter to someone you've lost, saying what you wish you could have said. It's for you, not them, or share a memory with a friend over tea, even if it brings tears. I've seen people find relief by joining a grief support group or even talking to their pet about their day. Pets are great listeners. One man I know, Thomas, 86, started painting after his sister passed, not because he was an artist, but because putting colors on a canvas helped him feel what words couldn't hold. If you've been carrying something heavy, ask yourself, what's one small way I can let this out? Because when you give your heart room to breathe, your body starts to heal too. If you're finding these insights helpful, drop a 4 in the comments to let me know you're here. We've got one more reason to cover, and it's a big one. So stick with me. Let's keep going and discover how to live, not just longer, but with more joy and purpose. You've made it this far, and I'm so glad you're still here, because we're about to wrap up with the 5th reason why so many older adults struggle to thrive past 80. And it's one that ties everything together. If you've ever felt like your days are just slipping by, or like you're not quite sure what gets you out of bed anymore, this final point might be the key to unlocking a brighter, more vibrant you. We've already talked about rebuilding routines, staying active, connecting with others, and letting your emotions breathe. Now let's dive into the last piece of the puzzle and bring it all home with some encouragement to help you live not just longer, but with a heart full of purpose and joy. The 5th reason so many people struggle past 80 is the gradual fading of a sense of purpose. Now, I'm not talking about some big world-changing mission like writing a novel or starting a charity, though if that's your thing, go for it. I'm talking about the quiet everyday reasons that make you want to get up in the morning. It could be as simple as feeding the stray cat that visits your porch, sewing a patch on your grandkids' jeans, or just being the person who always has a kind word for the cashier at the corner store. These small acts give your day's texture, a reason to keep going. But as we age, especially past 80, these purposes can slip away. Maybe your kids don't need you as much anymore, or the volunteer group you loved disbanded. Maybe your old hobbies feel out of reach because of shaky hands or tired eyes. When those little sparks of purpose fade, it's like a fire slowly burning out. Not because the wood's gone, but because no one's tending it. I once knew a woman named Lillian, 88, who had this incredible habit of making bookmarks for her local library. She'd cut them from old calendars, decorate them with stickers, and drop them off every month. It wasn't a big deal to anyone else, but to Lillian, it was her way of saying, I'm still here, and I'm still giving. When the library closed for renovations, Lillian stopped. She didn't replace that small act with anything else, and soon her days felt aimless. She started sleeping later, skipping meals, and losing that twinkle in her eye. It wasn't just sadness. It was the absence of something to do that mattered to her. Science backs this up. Studies show that having a sense of purpose, even a small one, can lower stress, improve heart health, and even add years to your life. Without it, your body and mind start to slow down, not because they're broken, but because they're waiting for a reason to keep going. Here's the good news. Purpose doesn't have to be grand, and it's never too late to find it. It's about finding one thing, no matter how small, that makes you feel needed. Maybe it's calling your niece every Sunday to hear about her week. Maybe it's growing a pot of basil on your windowsill or teaching your neighbor's kid how to whistle. I've seen people in their 90s find purpose by simply sharing stories with younger generations, writing them down, recording them, or just telling them over coffee. One man I know, Carl 85, started leaving voicemails for his grandkids with short jokes he'd heard on the radio. It took him 5 minutes a day, but those messages gave him a reason to smile and a way to stay connected. So if your days have started to feel a little hollow, ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do that makes me feel like I'm contributing? Because that sense of purpose is like fuel. It keeps your heart beating with intention, not just rhythm. Now let's bring it all together. We've covered 5 unexpected reasons why so many older adults struggle to live past 80. Letting go of small routines, pulling back from gentle movement, losing everyday connections, ignoring unprocessed emotions, and fading purpose. Each one is like a thread in the fabric of your life when they start to unravel. The whole thing can feel frayed, but here's the beautiful truth. You don't need to overhaul your life to weave them back together. It's the small steps that count. Brew that morning tea and savor it. Take a short walk to the mailbox, even if you need a cane. Say hello to the delivery person. Write down one memory that's been tugging at your heart. Find one tiny way to matter, whether it's to a person, a pet, or even a plant. These aren't just tasks, they're the building blocks of a life that feels full, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. I want you to think about which of these 5 reasons hit you the hardest. Was it the idea of rebuilding a routine? Or maybe the reminder to let your emotions out? Whatever it is, start with one small change today. Because here's what I've learned. Aging isn't about stopping, it's about choosing how you keep going. You have more power than you might realize to shape your days, to feel vibrant, to live with purpose. So take that first step, even if it's a shaky one. You're not just adding years, you're adding life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share one thing you learned today or one small change you're going to try. Your stories inspire me and they'll inspire others too. If this video spoke to you, please give it a like. It helps us reach more people who need this message. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss our next conversation. Thank you for spending this time with me. Here's to living your best life at any age with a heart that's wide open and a spirit that's still growing. See you in the next video.